hampered Arsenal a lot this season, certainly hampered them in the game against West Ham, was the absence of a recognised strike. I mean, look, there are longer-running issues around Arsenal having an out-and-out goal scorer, but with nobody available to play, I mean, he played Mourinho in that position, but with nobody available who's a specialist in that position, they did look toothless. Yeah,
we did, and we're having a massive problem with a mid-block Arsenal. But like Kels, we can't ignore the fact that as much as people might be tired of hearing the talk of a striker, it's no secret we've needed a striker for 3 years. We've missed 5 windows where we haven't had a striker. I heard an interview with Mikel, what was from January before Kels, where he was talking about, yes, we'll try and get somebody if that person fits in. We're talking about a global market for Arsenal to shop in, and for us to not, especially after Saka, especially after Jesus, to still not add to a squad that's clinging on by their fingernails to a Liverpool side that look like they're coasting, getting ready to put into fifth gear. You know, to hold on to them with everything that's happened is for me, from the board, it's terrible business.
So do you think that in some ways, and even if you factor in the injuries, the type of injuries that Arsenal have been having this season, and then you factor in that there hasn't been the activity in the transfer market over the last 5 windows to bring in that recognised striker, or even a backup striker.
Even before the injuries, we needed. So
if you look at forwards, have Arsenal kind of created their own problems then this season?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that what else has got to happen in the summer is they've got to get a director of football in. Somebody's got to come in like that. That's got to be one of the first appointments at Arsenal, because the business, what's gone on. When you look at, we've got a lone goalkeeper in Neto, who wasn't allowed to play in certain games, takes up a lone spot that Arsenal would have needed. And when you're looking at someone like a Villa went and found those 2 players. You know, we're going to
come on and talk
about
them,
but just to make the point,
they've absolutely won the window.
Absolutely, they have won the window with Asensio and Rashford. They've realised what they need for that push for Champions League, and they've gone all out to make sure that happens. That's something that should have happened to Arsenal, especially with the way the season went last season and what they're trying to do this season. It's not happened, and it feels like, you know, it's for me, I don't think the manager could do any more. People are talking about the training, maybe the intensity of the training that Kels, and with a squad that is not very big, it's not very deep. Of course, that's going to hurt you, especially with some of the bad luck.
Some of the bad luck and some of the red cards that Arsenal have had this season. I mean, again, it's something that they can point to maybe as excuses, and I know a lot of Arsenal fans would feel that they've been targeted this season, or that they've been treated more harshly. It's probably a better way of putting it. But is there
some of them you won't even see again? I don't think you'll see someone like Declan Rice's one again. You know, you won't even see that. I think even Lewis Skelly's one at Wolves. Some of them have been really harsh, Kels. And I feel for the Arsenal fans because they do. But then
there's also Lewis Skelly's one in the West Ham game, and then there are also ones where it is throwing the ball away that, you know, it's an arguable yellow, or kicking the ball away, rather. It's an arguable
yellow.
Yeah,
but which one's kicking the ball away? You're talking about Declan Rice's?
Trossard's, I was thinking.
Trossard's one was really harsh as well.
Trossard at City.
But harsh, but I think harsh, but also you could say harsh, and you could also say it's a bit silly at times. Does that sound fair?
I think it's easy to say silly. I tend to think, I don't know, try and get underneath it more and go, why are they doing that? And I think because of, perhaps, I don't want to use the word desperation to win the title, but there is a real push from Arsenal, and they are so close, and they have been so close, that are those behaviours because of
maybe
the desperation in those particular moments that players have lost their head? You don't know, do you? You don't want to hang your hat on that, but you've got to go, why does it happen? And they've dropped 10 points from the 5 games that they've had red cards in this season, which ultimately 10 points is the gap between them and Liverpool right now.
And I would probably take the red card argument more on board if they were ones where I'm thought, well, that's a poor challenge from you. You shouldn't be doing that. But all of them have had a little bit of like, okay, we could have done without that, but did they really need to be sending offs? That's the only thing, and that's the only thing you question. That's what the Arsenal fans question. But at the same time, Kels, we have got the red cards, so you have to deal with them. But like, nothing can take me away from the fact that this team needed strengthening, and that's what it comes down to for me. And that's why now, as much as Arsenal fans don't want to hear it, the title race is very tough for us to still be involved in.
Although, and this is where we started off, and I like to end the day with you in a good mood. So look, OK, it's 11 points. Liverpool have played a game more. they both have tricky fixtures in midweek. Arsenal are at Nottingham Forest. Liverpool are at home to Newcastle. There could potentially be a swing in that, in terms of the results. If Arsenal win their game in hand, then the gap is then 8 points. Could turn around in midweek, potentially, depending on which way they go. And Arsenal have yet to play Liverpool on May the 10th, which you can claw back another 3 points. And then, by my reckoning, that gets it to about 2 points.
Can I say
and then it's so I'm just trying to
cheer. I really appreciate it.
There are still 11, 12 games to go for this team. We are not at the business end of the season by any stretch of the imagination. It's February.
And the fact is, we still want a Premier League title to be raced, to be happening, a competitive one. But when you look at those games with Arsenal without forwards, and looking at us what we're like with a team that puts a mid-block up, Kels, it's very difficult to make a case for us scoring goals.
I agree.
Whereas you look at Liverpool, even if it gets tight, they'll just say, activate Mo mode, activate Mo mode, and let's win this game.
Because your point would be valid.
Activate mode.
Mode Salah.
He's got that. Or he's got, like, Darwin Núñez will come off the bench, or someone Jota will come off the bench. So they've got everything in place.
Because your point would be great if Arsenal had full strength. See, if Saka was there, and Havertz was there, and Gabriel Jesus, and they're not. I think the way we saw them play against West Ham on Saturday is unfortunately the way.
Was sad.
Because against Leicester, it was like that for an hour
until
already.
Marino came on.
It was exactly the same game as against West Ham. They were just hopeless with the ball in terms of creativity.
Absolutely was.
And that's the problem. And that's why I want Ian to be happy too. I'm like you.
But the more you lot are speaking, the more unhappy I'm actually feeling.
Because we're putting the case for Arsenal, which is forcing you to put the case against. And it's plunging you deeper into that spiral.
You know what, it's heartbreaking, because I just feel like the manager, in respect of a coach, has coached him as far as he can, and the help what he needed didn't get. And that is what's holding him back, to the point now you've seen Arsenal fans even being negative towards Mikel. And I'm not sure what more he can do in the current
Champions League.
Fingers crossed with that, Kels, because again, we're talking about the elite of the elite, and Arsenal have got to go there. And let's face it, limp there. They've got to be limping there. Is it PSG?
PSV.
PSV.
Got PSG.
You know what I mean? Again, it's a team that, in the current climate, Kels, you probably look at Arsenal, if you're PSV, in this stage of the Champions League, and feel, wow, this is a good draw for us.
Yeah.
That's where we are at the minute.
Talking about Champions League, the race for the top 4, top 5 places is really hotting up. Big results in terms of Newcastle's win against Nottingham Forest, and points drop. And there is that 11-point gap. Even though Liverpool have played a game more, where are we, do you think? We're looking at the possible champions without a shadow of a doubt. You only have to look at the closest team to them in respect of Arsenal and what they're going through. It looks like you can't see where the next win's coming from in respect to the way they're playing. And you look at Liverpool against City, and it looked quite comfortable in the way they did it. You know, people talking about Liverpool, but they're not playing. They didn't have to. They've got it under such control. They didn't have to, and they just look. They look like champions as we sit now, and they look like a team. And you know the way they celebrated afterwards, there was a certain, not relief, but there was a certain kind of sense of, something, that was something. Progress.
Something there. There was something there, which I didn't begrudge them for.
When you use the word control there to describe that game for Liverpool, is that a word that could be used to describe Liverpool's season so far?
Absolutely, and I think it comes from Arne Slot. We've probably waxed lyrical about him many a time already this season, to come in and do what he's done with this team. Yes, he inherited a good squad. They didn't make many, if any, additions. I think Chiesa's the player that's come in, and he's added depth to the squad. I was at the game yesterday and I saw him on the touchline. You can see how invested he is. I think sometimes that's a real sign of how deep and how strong a squad is how the subs act on the sideline. Yes. And I thought you could feel a sense of real togetherness from Liverpool Football Club.
Do you mean that in terms of they feel there's a chance of them going on and making a difference, that they don't just feel that they're there just to keep the bench warm?
Yeah, they believe in the project, they believe in what they're doing, and there's a real unity about them. And Wright, he said, the way they celebrated at the end, it meant something. They had full control. They came out of, if it's 5 gears, they were probably in third gear, and they had space to grow. But I think the midfield are monsters for Liverpool. The way they operate, they epitomise the control, and again, another impressive performance.
It's interesting the way that we're talking about Liverpool this season, because they're 11 points clear, as we keep saying, and I know they've played a game more. And yet there have been a lot of times this season where it feels like they haven't kicked into gear. Do you think some of that is just a comparison with the style of football that Jurgen Klopp played and the style of football that Arne Slot likes to play?
Maybe a bit of that. Maybe the fact that the rest of the Premier League hasn't been nowhere near their level, really. The Liverpool level, their own level, City, Arsenal, Spurs, United, a lot of those teams haven't really been at their best, really. And for Liverpool, you can only beat what's in front of you anyway, but there's a lot of games where they didn't even have to be great to win.
Yeah.
And I thought yesterday I was at the game as well with Izzy, and it was just like they just did exactly what they needed to. The shape was perfect, the organisation, tactically, the 4-2-4 were great. To have Jones and Szoboszlai as the front two, really, and then Salah and Diaz wide was perfectly. And I think City are not very good this season, we know that, but Liverpool were so much in control and so efficient in everything. Yeah. Van Dijk and Konate looked like they were in the bath, really. It was so easy. It was like literally cigars in their mouth and then everything in front of them. It was just like perfect. Like, come at us, because City, for all the ball they had, didn't really have enough threat, I think.
You know, the thing is, you saw the threat was Doku. But I think that when you saw Doku and then obviously no Haaland, no presence in the box, a lot of what he was doing was very much, Liverpool just had it really like locked off. Everything he done, tried to cut it inside. There was players there. And that is what I'm saying about Liverpool and our control. That they're just so in control of everything that you didn't feel like City were going to actually harm them. And I think when you look at Liverpool, it all starts really, Kels, from people talking about, look at Liverpool's start, it's so easy. But then they had to win all of those to get to a place where they can say, right, let's see what we're up against. Okay, let's see what they do when they play against this team. Bam, they beat them. And I remember when Virgil came on and we was asking him, he said, what do you think about it when people were saying about the easy start? He said, you're not bothered about the start. You're delighted you get a start like that because it gives you the momentum. And I think, Kels, apart from the Nottingham Forest, they've not slipped up in any game in respects of like the mentality of what they need to do. I think that the managers come in, and like you mentioned rightly, is he's only brought in Chiesa really as a squad player, but the players know exactly what to do to the point where they don't have to exert themselves in this season where a lot of teams have not come up to the mark.
But even though you're talking about the quality of players in the squad, the quality of the squad with the addition of Chiesa, who hasn't featured very much this season. He did for a little spell, but hasn't featured very much. It still wasn't a side that was being tipped to win the Premier League title.
I think it was an element of the unknown. Whenever there's a new manager that comes into any club, you know the fans want to see how they're going to set up, how are they going to play, are they going to drop this player, are they going to play this player? There's a lot of unknowns to be revealed. And with Liverpool, what Arne Slot's done in comparison to Klopp is, we've spoken about the control and the slower level of football, but higher impact in some respects because of where they are in the league table. Jules mentioned earlier, rightly so, the rest of the Premier League hasn't necessarily found high performance levels, but Liverpool have only got to do what they've got to do, which is win and beat everybody that comes in front of them. But I think I just looked at the players, the subs on the pitch, the players on the pitch, and I'm like, they look like champions elect. And I don't know what it is about them. Sometimes you just get a smell in football that you can just feel it. And it would take a horrendous slip up for them now to drop that title that they've almost got one hand on the trophy.
And they also have Mohamed Salah
Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta downplayed concerns over a potential injury for Ethan Nwaneri, revealing that the teenage forward was taken off against West Ham United on Saturday with fatigue. Nwaneri lasted 81 minutes of a grim 1-0 defeat in front of a deflated Emirates Stadium. The Gunners limped into Saturday's fixture without first-choice forwards and struggled to carve open any significant opportunities against a stubborn West Ham rearguard. The sight of Nwaneri limping along the fringe of the Emirates pitch prompted fears that he would join Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus on the sidelines, but Arteta was keen to quash those concerns. No, hopefully not, the Spanish boss replied when asked if the prodigious 17-year-old was injured. He was just fatigued, I think. Midfielder Mikel Merino started the game against West Ham as a makeshift striker after a 2-goal cameo in Arsenal's trip to Leicester City last weekend. However, the toothless opening 80 minutes of that encounter at King Power proved to be more instructive than the late goal glut. After watching his side register just 2 shots on target against a team with the 5th worst defensive record in the Premier League, Arteta's side, we have to look in the mirror at ourselves and what we can do better, the will and desire and the way we run and the way we want it, 0 questions about that. but at this level it's not enough. You have to deliver, and it has to be a lot of quality to break a really good team down to win many more duels than we have done and put actions that can end up in really threatening moments for the positions to win the game, and we haven't done it. Martin Odegaard came under plenty of individual criticism after enduring a 7th consecutive appearance without registering an assist. Arsenal's skipper acknowledged his own creative struggles. I think we lacked a bit of efficiency in the final third, the final pass, the final cross, and we should have been sharper and better around the box. I think that's what we missed today, and also, we let them run a bit too easily a few times, so it's a big blow and disappointing.